Hi, I'm Chuck Gibson. This is Loveland Beacon Talks Sports Special Edition. A former LHS standout basketball and volleyball athlete has just been honored at Ball State University for her outstanding career on the volleyball court there. Her honors are too numerous to list here, but Marie Plitt has left a lasting legacy for future Cardinals. It is my pleasure and an honor to welcome Marie Plitt to this special sports edition to share her story. Welcome, Marie Plitt. Thank you so much for joining us here on Loveland Beacon Talks Sports Special. And Marie, the first thing I'm going to say is, wow, you have had a great college career. And let's start with, I know that you've just completed the college career at Ball State, volleyball, and numerous accomplishments. But we'll talk about some. But Ball State really put together a nice tribute for you, right?
Right, yes. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be talking here with you today, so thank you for that. And yeah, I am just completed my last season at Ball State, and I was very honored to be able to, they did a little tribute for me, and that recognition was huge, and it meant so much to me. So I really felt honored and just privileged to be able to go to Ball State and just have all my 5 years there, and it was truly amazing. So.
Well, and then I guess, I mean, in terms of volleyball, so that's finished, but, and we were chatting before, but obviously you're staying on in terms of, your master's degree studies, and you're staying there at Ball State.
Yep. So I am getting my master's at Ball State in social work, and it's a 2-year program, so I will be around the Muncie area for sure, so it's not a complete goodbye yet. So that's it's still bittersweet.
Well, that's, Marie, that's a really cool thing because it says, you've had a good experience there. Obviously, not just, what do we call it? Do we call it the volleyball court, I guess, right?
Yep, the volleyball court.
I wanted to get that, because, it's different than a playing field, so that's the volleyball court. But obviously on the volleyball court, but more importantly, in the classroom, on the campus, it's been a good experience for you as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I have so many good things to say about Ball State. The campus, the professors, the supporting staff, the coaches, just my overall volleyball experience. Everything has been so amazing. So I was like, there's no better place to finish my master's and do it at Ball State in Muncie. So. Well,
a little bit, and I know that this is the last thing you want is all this praise heaped on you, but I've got to share a little bit. So I love that laugh.
Right.
But well, hey, I'm going to be just like your dad. We're very proud as here in Loveland of people like yourself, Marie, that have you've come from here. So that's why I want to share real quick a little bit for people that are listening in. You may remember Marie Plitt from the Loveland High School class of 2019. And of course, at Loveland High School, two-sport, 4-year varsity letter winner, both volleyball, which obviously you went on to continue in college, but also some basketball exploits at Loveland High School. So, for the people listening, that's Marie, like ECC Player of the Year and All-State Honorable Mentions and things like that. Those kinds of awards shaped her opportunity to go on and continue that. So here's the question. After those, that career at Loveland High School, I might have a sneak idea about what the answer, but how did you choose Ball State?
Yeah, Loveland has meant so much to me. Just the support of all of Loveland, that's what I wanted going into college too, because I was like, I love this backbone of Loveland. Just always, there were so many fans in both basketball and volleyball, always at my games and at the football games, and I was like, that's something I'm looking for. So I started looking around throughout my the recruiting process of volleyball, and obviously Drew, my brother, went to Ball State, and he played football there, so I think we were at a spring match for one of Drew's visits, or Drew was playing in a spring game, and my mom and I were there. She's like, let's just pop into the volleyball arena. I think they have their spring game going on. So we popped in, we watched a couple volleyball sets, and I was like, wow, this place is really cool. And then later I got to talking with Kelly, the head coach at Ball State, and she was like, hey, we really like you as a volleyball player. We want to get to know you more. So I was, I guess, first introduced to Ball State through my brother, and then the rest was history. I was like, I fell in love with Ball State, and my grandparents also lived 30 minutes from Ball State, which was very nice to have a little bit of home close by. So that was something really neat too, and special as to why I picked Ball State.
Yeah. Well, that, you know what, that doesn't hurt at all.
Right, exactly. More support, more love surrounded by me.
Yeah, you get to go away from home, but still feel a little bit homey with family nearby. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would take that anytime.
Yeah, exactly. And my freshman year, it's so scary, freshman year going in with a whole new team, playing college volleyball, a little scary, but having Drew there too was so huge for me. We would go and get coffee at least once a week. We'd text all the time, he's like, hey, you need anything? I'm like, I'm good, how about you? And that was really cool.
That is nice. Well, you know what, though, it sounds, again, I talked a little bit for the folks listening about, your experience and your accomplishments while a high school player here locally in Loveland. Mm-hmm. But it looks, from the things that you've done at Ball State University in your career there, it looked like you settled in pretty quickly as a freshman, because I'm looking at a statistic here that says saw action in 441 of a possible 461 sets and played in 118 of a possible 120 matches. Now, I know you just love hearing all that. Right. Last thing, I'm sorry, Marie. I don't mean to, but I mean, so the question is, did you settle in that quick? Did things kind of go smoothly, the transition from high school to college volleyball at Ball State? What was that like for you?
Absolutely. The first 2 weeks, it's just scary, whole new world, but I settled in pretty quickly. I think that's a big tribute to my coaches that were there. They were absolutely amazing and welcoming. And then I also came in with a pretty big recruited class of 9 girls. So we were all kind of new going through it together. So it was a huge bonding moment for us to be able to get to know each other better. So I feel like we really bonded together, that recruiting class, and that made things so much more comfortable. And about half the girls ended up playing that first year, which was really cool out on the court. We were whole new faces, and it was just really neat to be able to come in that first year and get some experience under my belt, which I wasn't really sure if I would be able to do or not.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think for any athlete out of high school into college, even whatever the next levels are, you never know what that first season's going to be like in terms of getting yourself onto the field, onto the court, whatever the playing arena is. That's a tough challenge. So how nice is that, though? Wow. You beat me to the next question when, you talked about 5 of you saw action together as freshmen. But that's 9 new recruits. That's huge.
It was huge.
What is, hey, I'm not the volleyball guy for sure. So, I'm going to learn as I'm talking with you.
Right,
When you say 9 new recruits, and 5 of you saw action. So what is a typical, college volleyball roster? Is that like 15 players, 20 players? What was the roster looking like?
About 18 to 20 players typically, and typically every class is around 4 to 5 girls as freshmen coming in. So it was definitely a switch up, but they just graduated 9 girls too. Oh. So it was, they needed 9 people coming in, but it was also just a whole new world for everybody. Wow. The returning players and the newbies coming in. So, but we meshed really well together pretty fast, and we kind of started to figure things out. Because, my freshman year, we ended up winning the MAC, going to the NCAA, which was so amazing and something that was a dream of mine coming into Ball State. So to be able to do that my freshman year was so incredible, and I just have loved that experience, and I think about that a lot too.
Yeah, well, it's a testament to the smooth transition that there's also something, in the history of Marie Plitt there that the 2019 MAC All Freshman team. But obviously your team, not just that individual honor, but you guys won the MAC when you were freshmen. How cool was that?
It was so incredible, and it was something like, so I won the ECC tournament at Loveland, and that was pretty neat to be able to do that and go on tournament runs.
Right.
But to do it in college, I was like, wow, this is a whole new world. Like, this is pretty neat. Like, we're going to the NCAA tournament now. Like, it's a new ball game.
Well, and so, hey, just for the record, you did figure out that it's not really that easy, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely not. No. And in my freshman year, we definitely went through some ups and downs just on the court. And luckily we figured it out towards the end. It's definitely not easy.
Well, shoot, Marie, you already said, so 5 of you saw, pretty good action, 5 new players. I'm sure, all 9 saw some, but, that, heck yeah, you have to come together, and so, the hope is by the end of the season, it makes sense, but it looks like, it sounds like it worked out, and
yes, right, yeah.
And then beyond that, the honors pile up, and, from 2019 all the way through this, finishing your career. Now, you guys wrapped up the volleyball season, and thus your collegiate career. Was that November? When did you guys wrap up?
Yep, it was the end of November.
Okay, I was just making sure I got the timetable for the sport right. So, gosh, you're just barely off the court.
Right, exactly. I know. Yeah, and the Final Four just happened last night for the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, volleyball's still definitely going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, unfortunately, you're talking to me today.
Right, exactly. No, I'm honored.
Well, hey, listen, again, I truly appreciate your coming on and sharing some of your story. What, Marie, would you say, if looking back over the collegiate career and the 5 years so far at Ball State, what are some highlights for you rather than, because I said I'm not going to sit here and read off a list of accomplishments. I'll write something about it with this piece, but, rather than do that, tell us yourself, your experience, what were some highlights for you?
Yeah, that's a good question, because there's definitely a lot of highlights that I feel like I've had over the last couple of years. First, I think I just have realized how thankful and blessed that I really am to have the community of Loveland and the community of Muncie and Ball State. I think that's something I realized very quickly at school that I had, and I was so lucky and thankful to be able to have those people. People were reaching out from Loveland when I was at Ball State, and now that I'm back home, people from Ball State are reaching back out, and it's just really neat opportunities and experiences also that I've been able and fortunate enough to experience. We were lucky enough to go to 3 NCAA tournament runs and an NIVC tournament. And then I would also say a huge piece of my Ball State career would be going to Costa Rica as a team.
Wow.
That was an unforgettable experience. And we were able to serve. We just saw parks in Costa Rica, stayed in a bungalow, so that was a super cool opportunity that I probably would never have gotten to experience if I didn't go to Ball State and be able to be there. So
you bring out a very important point, and I'm glad you said that about the Costa Rica trip, because again, we've already talked about not just as a volleyball player and an athlete on the court, but, representing the university, representing our country, even when you go, to Costa Rica, but also, representing yourself as a student in the classroom, there's highlights. But you just brought up a great important point, Marie. When you were in Costa Rica, you used the term, we were able to serve. And how cool is that?
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. So I'm just so thankful for that opportunity, because it's one that has stuck with me and I think about daily. So that it's really cool to be able to represent Ball State and, just volleyball and everything as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I am going to touch, now this is funny, so I am going to touch on one specific highlight that is shared from your statistics. So I've got the line here, and I'm going to preface this with, Marie, I am a Michigan guy.
Okay.
I'm originally from Michigan, born and raised, so a lifelong Michigan fan. So you know which statistic I'm getting ready to mention.
Oh yeah.
What is the matter with you? 20 kills in the tournament against my Michigan Wolverines. You're killing me. Literally.
That was a highlight. That's a highlight.
So, that one jumped out at me, whether you were going to mention it or not. But anyway, well, congratulations on that one. Darn it. So,
right. That was a highlight. That was so cool to be able to do.
Yeah.
So that was sweet.
Yeah,
but unfortunate for you, I guess, in the Michigan.
Well, I'm assuming that was in a victory. Yeah, well, it does say in a first round victory over Michigan. So it was rather unfortunate for the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah,
but
But we did celebrate pretty hard in locker rooms, spraying a lot of water bottles, dancing around.
Well, as you should, and that, you know what, to me, and that says you respected the opponent.
Absolutely, always.
I'm gonna leave that one at that.
Right.
So, I had something else on my mind from that discussion. I do also want to mention one other thing. So, again, female scholar athlete of the week. So you've got some of those offensive player of the week awards and things like that, but I really like the fact that you're well-rounded as both a student and an athlete, that you're continuing your career at Ball State as a student in the master's program. That is really cool. But here we go. So like you said, the season really just finished. You're barely off the court. So, the days look a little different for you now. So what's your workout routine look like now?
So it's definitely very different. I got a lot more time on my hands, I would say. But so I try to work out about every day during the week, Monday through Friday. Lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just to stay in shape. And on Tuesday, Thursday, I do some cardio. So I try to do that, and then I'm also working on my master's, and that's a 2-year program. So I will be doing a couple internships coming up here soon, and being just around the Ball State campus every couple weeks with my master's program, and then I'm also going to be substitute teaching with my free time as well.
Oh, neat. That's pretty cool. So yeah. And again, I look at that for teachers. I mean, that's a give back job. Yep,
absolutely. So cool. I've always enjoyed students, and I really enjoyed helping people with mental health, and I think that is something that my future hopefully entails, is working with students and student athletes and their mental health and overall well-being.
Well, you know what? That's you sort of answered a question, because it's like, where do you hope to go with the I started to say social worker degree, and it sounds like in the mental health field specifically.
Yep.
And again, in a give back situation. But the second half of that question, or the second question that comes from that, Marie, too, is that I wanted to ask, especially for some younger people, maybe or high school athletes right now that may get an opportunity to listen to this and to listen to your story, a little bit about that transition and the challenges. I don't want to say difficulties, but the challenges faced. I think a lot of people don't realize when you go in to college as an athlete as well as a student, the challenges you face with all of a sudden, the coaches expect a commitment from you, but obviously there needs to be a commitment in the classroom. How do you balance that, and what are some of those things that were, maybe the toughest challenges for you?
Right. It definitely is a big change with your time commitment to both your studies on the court, with your friendships. So it's just trying to find that balance. And I think to each individual, it looks a little bit different. But I think Ball State did a really good job of helping me. We have these things called tables that we would have to go to our freshman year, and we'd have to get 8 hours a week. So that's where we would get all our homework done. And then we'd have practice and class, and then we'd have some time for some social, like hang out with some friends, meet new people. So I think just trying to find a balance of, okay, this is the time I'm going to do my homework. This is the time I'm going to focus on watching film, doing my health care on my body, my physical therapy stuff. This is the time I'm going to be going on court. And just trying to find that balance.
Yeah. What was the thing? I'm sorry. What was the thing, Marie, that you maybe most surprised you? I mean, and I think, maybe you had a little advantage because obviously your brother was had made the transition from high school athlete to college athlete, so maybe there was some advantage. You'd learn some lessons from what he shared about the experience. But what most surprised you about that transition from high school to college athlete? And I should quit saying just athlete, but from that transition from high school student athlete to college student athlete.
Oh, that's a hard one. I think I was surprised at just like how much more time I had. I feel like in high school you go to school for 8 hours, and then I would have my basketball practice followed by my club volleyball practice, and then I'd go home and try to do homework. And I feel like I had no time in high school, whereas I could kind of balance my time myself in college. So that was definitely a surprise to me, which it kind of seems crazy looking back, and I'm like, well, I feel like high school time commitments almost seemed a little harder.
Wow, and that surprises me, but but that's good information. Again, trying to give a chance for whoever's listening to gain from your experience, especially. But these questions keep popping up, and then you fascinate me with your answers. I hope everybody listening is as fascinated by the whole experience as I am. But another thing that I should have probably asked this earlier. So again, I'm learning in terms of the volleyball. So what was like your position in volleyball? I know there's some things about setter and whatever spot. I don't know. You tell me. Setter, killer. What was the thing? I'm going to mess this up, so I'm going to shut up and let you tell us.
Yeah, there is a setter, but I was a middle blocker, middle attacker, whatever you will. So I was in the front row just for 3 rotations. Sometimes I'd serve, so I'd be in the back row for half of a rotation, but. So I was in the front row, attacking and blocking majority of the time. Yeah.
And so then that again, shame on me, I have to bring it up, but like that 20 kills. So a kill is when you do what?
That is when the ball goes down on the other side.
I gotcha.
So you hit the ball and hopefully you get a kill.
Yeah,
is the goal of that.
That makes perfect sense. So
so it hits the ground on the other side, on the opponent's side.
Well, I wanted to touch on that, and while we're still talking the volleyball aspect, and I know, as you said, you're still working out, continuing your conditioning and keeping yourself athletically fit. So, what about volleyball? We know you're doing the master's degree, and we have an idea of where you're hoping to go with your future in that kind of work. But what about volleyball for you? What's next in volleyball?
That's a really good question as well. I guess I'm not really too sure. I know there's a lot of pro stuff going on in the States these days, with a couple new leagues opening. So I think I'm kind of looking into that. I am definitely interested in potentially doing professional volleyball here. But I guess that's a TBD. Not really sure on that end. But regardless, I think that I'll do some sand volleyball at Grand Sands here soon.
Oh, yeah.
Keep playing volleyball because I love it. So definitely going to be in my future.
That's outstanding. Now, to be able to get to do something, something that you enjoy, that makes a big difference. Especially while you're continuing your studies, if you're able to continue to, enjoy the athletic aspect of your life too. That's awesome.
Exactly, yeah. And just trying to pick up some new hobbies. I think I'm going to, once it gets warmer, try to pick up some golf and maybe some pickleball here and there. Yeah. So just staying athletic.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, completely well-rounded. You throw the golf into the mix and some pickleball.
I'm learning.
I'm going to get in trouble for this. So because pickleball obviously is growing tremendously. And I'm like, get a ping pong table What are you doing? It's ping pong on a floor outside.
It is, but you're a little bit more active. I am better at pickleball than ping pong, so I think that's why I'm a little biased to pickleball.
I might be the same way if I played more pickleball, because I'm not the world's best ping pong player. So.
Right.
But anyway, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Well, Marie, it sounds like you have a whole lot out in front of you, and as I said, I'm not going to rattle it off, but with a whole lot out in front of you and a bright-looking future, gosh, congratulations on such a shining past, both at Loveland High School, on the basketball floor, and of course the volleyball court, and the volleyball court at Ball State University. You have certainly left that legacy, and I would have loved to have been there for that Ball State honorable moment, just to share in that with you too. But I'm thinking you were most deserving. Well done.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, and I truly appreciate you having me on. It's pretty cool to be able to talk to you about just my experience, and hopefully reach out to those that can learn from anything that I've said today. So I appreciate you having me on and being able to talk about this with you.
Well, it's been my pleasure, Marie. But hey, and before we go, so you mentioned Coach Kelly. So did you get to play your entire college career with Coach Kelly, or has that been, what's the story?
I was fortunate enough to have her as my head coach all 5 years.
Wow.
So, which is something not a lot of people have. A lot of times coaches leave or players leave, but no, I was very fortunate.
And that's the reason for the question, because so many times coaches are moving around as well. So that's pretty cool. Then on that same note, because we were talking about the volleyball aspect of your life, and you're going to be continuing your studies at Ball State. Any talk about helping out with the volleyball program? Well,
I mean, here and there. She said, if you're around, welcome to come in, stop in the gym, and practice with the girls. So she said my door is always open, it means a lot to me. So, and I know if I ever wanted to get in coaching, she'd definitely help me out. So. Very cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, Marie, listen, the door is always open. Don't even be afraid to reach out to us if there's something happening that you want to share. I'd love to have you on Loveland Beacon Talks and see what's going on as you continue forward, doing the things that you're doing, whether it's on the volleyball court, the classroom, or out in the world. But it was just a treat to have this opportunity to talk with you and share your experience. So thank you again so much, and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and yours.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. You and Loveland Beacon Talks and be able to talk on here. So, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well.
All right. Thank you, Marie.
Yep. See ya. Thanks.
That was an outstanding conversation with a gifted athlete and student from our Loveland community and beyond. Marie Plitt has left a legacy of athletic excellence at Loveland High School and now at Ball State University, both on the volleyball court and in the academic arena. As she continues her master's studies at BSU, Marie is clearly on a path for a bright future. I'm Chuck Gibson saying thanks for listening here on Loveland Beacon. Loveland Beacon Talks is a presentation of Loveland Beacon Digital Media and Gibson Communications, LLC.